So, how are all you gorgeous, gorgeous people? And it's Friday. We made it. Congratulations, and I hope you all have a fantastic weekend because now you truly deserve it for being a survivor. But anyway, straight into the meat and potatoes is where we're going to be serving up some more Bryan Kohberger news because let's face it, that at the moment seems to be hot topic. And what are we talking about in particular? Obviously, the document drop that has brought the, how can we say, the Moscow PD into question. And look, I've found it. I've found Stickergate, and we're going to be talking about Stickergate. But what I think we first of all have to do is appreciate how volatile this case is, how much skating on thin ice is being done with the case in the first place. Because ultimately, if a case is airtight, then there isn't really a lot that can happen. There shouldn't be any worries because this is a slam dunk, as stated in the film Law Abiding Citizen. Slam dunk. But anyway, is the case a slam dunk? Because if the information and everything that we've seen out in the public arena is all there is to see, then I think we're looking at exactly the opposite and potentially an own goal. And I know we're now looking at a different sport because we've got basketball and soccer, but at the end of the day, I have to try and make these things up and work for my own benefit. But look, so what have we got? We've got Bryan Kohberger, who there's little elements of stuff that comes out that people keep throwing into the comments and saying, look, this is what he was doing. Like when he was arrested, he was downstairs, he was in the kitchen, and he was segregating his rubbish into bags and all this sort of stuff. But the laws surrounding refuse collection, etc., in that state are very, very strict, almost stating that everything does need to be segregated that way. And let's not also forget that Bryan Kohberger's own neighbour had said that Kohberger was a bit of a night owl. It wasn't uncommon to hear him mooching about at night, cleaning, tidying, lumping and bumping about. So this could potentially just be what Bryan did. It could be to do with an OCD situation where this behaviour is completely normal for Bryan. And yeah, in this situation, when he is being accused of a mass murder, it's going to raise eyebrows. But when you think about it, the things that are coming out could be easily explained away. And it's just going to be a case of how the jury sees that and how that is argued. We also have the knife sheath. Now, the knife sheath situation is a different kettle of fish because those of you who were on my live last night, you will have seen this, but I'm going to show you it again because I know not all of you turned up. Smash that like button or I'll smash you. But anyway, look, so first of all, they sent it to a lab in Idaho, and the lab in Idaho couldn't find anything. And let's not forget as well, it wasn't seen on the first search either, was it? It wasn't discovered early on, and that could be brought into question. Where was it when you very first looked? It was found right next to them, so did you not see it there? And how did it only have one DNA on it, which we'll come to? So, a lab in Idaho couldn't find anything, so they thought this might be a dead end, Blum said on the Megyn Kelly show earlier in March. In an appearance on News Nation on Wednesday, Blum said investigators sent the knife sheath to Texas because they want to make an arrest. They wanted desperately to tie the suspect to this knife sheath, he said. I'm going to read that one more time. They wanted desperately to tie the suspect to this knife sheath, he said. Now, I'm going to pop back on screen and show my beautiful face because, look, let's not forget that this knife sheath, they haven't found a knife. They haven't found a weapon. We've got a knife sheath. But we've also got conflicting information surrounding the injuries as well. Some people are saying that there is injuries consistent with multiple weapons. multiple weapons, different styles, and the way in which the injuries had been inflicted were perhaps not completely in accordance with how a K-bar knife would indeed work. But anyway, I'm going to carry on with this quickly. I don't want to keep you here all day. The lab in Texas specialised in proprietary devices that made what is called kinship DNA, Blum said. You could figure out a relative of the DNA that you already had, and this lab was set up to investigate unsolved murders. The lab had only been used for cold cases prior to Moscow police sending it the knife sheath. It's a problem for the prosecution if the reports are accurate and the lab did not match the DNA to Kohberger. Nima Rahmani, an attorney and former federal prosecutor, told Newsweek. Even though familial DNA matches are new, the state is going to have to explain why the first lab drew a different conclusion. Rahmani added it's uncommon for such a bloody crime scene to have only a single source of DNA connected to a defendant. The defense will argue that it was transferred or planted. There may also be a lot of other people's DNA at the scene because it was a party house. The defense will argue that law enforcement didn't rule them out as suspects. Mark Amara, a criminal defense and civil rights attorney, also said Kohberger's defense team are sure to contest the DNA evidence. Defense attorneys look at whether they can find a potential of reasonable doubt, he told News Nation's Ashley Banfield, and when there is a test either way that they have to do unique, they have to go out of state, they have to do a second or third time, or it's inconclusive. There are little items, little catchphrases that defense attorneys use to see if there's reasonable doubt there. Now again, it's not to be taken in comparison to all other evidence, but certainly a defence team has to be pretty happy that the test did not come back positive to Kohberger's DNA on it. For example, so yes, it's something they're going to look at. So, there's an issue with the knife sheath in itself and the DNA, how it was found, what was actually found on it. That is going to be a focus. So it's like the video I touched on yesterday. When you start seeing these little elements, like the car, seeing Bryan Kohberger's car, but we know early on they said that they were looking for a 2011 to 2013 Elantra, and then it turns up that Bryan Kohberger's is actually a 2015 and 2016 model. So there are also issues there which again will be focused on that gain reasonable doubt. And now we have this new document drop and we're calling it Stickergate. Because look, this is what has actually happened. So I'm going to go back over to here and bring this up. So Moscow PD buries evidence in sticker case for more than a year. Moscow, Idaho. There is no credible explanation for MPD's failure to disclose this evidence as part of the January 22nd subpoena response. Defense lawyer Sam Creason said about video evidence that was released last week at a hearing. The Moscow Police Department video is key evidence in the infamous Soviet Moscow sticker case involving Nathan Wilson and his two sons, Rory and Seamus. This video evidence was released by MPD last week during a hearing which involved testimony from MPD officers under oath. This hearing was to determine the legality of the initial interrogation of the Wilson boys by MPD back in October 2020. Before the hearing and before going under oath, an MPD officer notified prosecutors that the video evidence did in fact exist on the night of the sticker incident. Sergeant Gunderson, now this is the thing here. So Sergeant Gunderson. So what this goes on, this is obviously, you can go and find this if I'll put the link in the description so you can go and read that yourself, so this video isn't 3 hours long. But they lied about having some evidence and they hid the evidence for a year, and subsequently this officer was deranked. And he's obviously been kicked off the ladder. You know when you play snakes and ladders and you get all that way, then all of a sudden you hit a snake and you fuck off back down again. That's what happened to him because of what he did. So, what could happen here is that if he's touched anything, if he has behaved, it's his credibility is going to be questioned. And yeah, look, it's nothing to do with the Bryan Kohberger case. Nothing whatsoever. The initial internal affairs investigation is regarding this Stickergate. But it's about the integrity of those around. And when you start seeing these tiny little cracks, like the nose sheath not being seen and then it was found, no DNA, then it was sent and they found DNA, and the fact that, the car situation, all these little things, if they haven't got anything bigger, if they haven't got any DNA found in the car, or found on Bryan, or found in Bryan's apartment, there was literally no DNA from the victims on anything to do with Bryan Kohberger, they're going to struggle. And then you've got the witness who interviewed Dylan Mortensen, and this frozen shock fear versus was able to give an accurate, well, I say accurate, she basically described pretty much half of the male population of the planet. But you get my point. Do you know what I mean? You can't be frozen in fear and being able to be a credible witness. And that will be pulled apart. So there's a lot of stuff still sort of simmering away. There's a bit of a melting pot here. And, you'll just have to let me know what you guys think about it. Because, like I say, we're now getting to the point where I know everybody's kind of scrabbling around and seeing what they can find. And when people start digging into things like this, what else is going to be found? What else is going to come up? This should be really, really straightforward. Someone did this, they go to court, there's evidence that proves beyond a reasonable doubt they did it, and they're punished for it. And the more that the days progress and the more time goes on, it just doesn't look like we're going to get that. It's going to be curveballs, there's going to be some shocks and surprises. But anyway, that's me done. It's Friday, you've got the weekend ahead of you. I'm going to be doing the mental health live on Sunday. I'd love it if some new faces could come over and have a chat. I know it's not everyone's cup of tea, but we do get into the meat and potatoes over there. And keep your eyes peeled, because YouTube notifications are bollocks. That's me done. Take care, and I'll see you all in the next one.